What's up, everyone? I had a few people reach out to me after my talk at PancakeSCon about raining shells, so I figured I'd share a quick tutorial and kind of give you a story time in case you missed it. So the basis of this came from a pen test that I was on. We started by enumerating the domain with Bloodhound, and we found that there were 1,324 machines where all domain users have local admin rights as a first-degree local admin. So I can show you why that's extremely dangerous. Basically, any user on a domain could log in any of these machines and execute code as a local admin. So to replicate this, I've built out a sample lab. We've got our domain controller with our domain, a single server, 5 workstations, and our Kali machine. So we'll jump right into our Kali machine. I'll go ahead and log in here. The first thing we're going to do is set up a listener. With Project Mayhem, we'll go ahead and fconfig, and we'll use our local IP address. That's 10.10.0.226, and we're going to create that listener. So after we built our listener, we're going to build a launcher. Here we're going to use a PowerShell launcher. We need to specify our listener. And we're going to go ahead and generate that. And now we have a launcher. We can run this command, or we can actually host the file to make it a little easier to pull that PowerShell in. So we're going to go ahead and host that. Here you can specify any name. Let's just call this arson. And we'll host that. And you can see that we now have our launcher, and we have encoded PowerShell down here. It's the exact same thing as a launcher, just in the encoded format. So we're going to copy that out. Ifconfig again, and we'll run against this /24 network. So we'll start with crackmapexec. We're going to do SMB, and we're going to use the user Tyler Durden, TD. And let's just see what kind of information we get back. Looks like we've got 10.10.0.149, their local admin. But if we run this across the domain, we're going to see, while they do have a login, they aren't the local admin here. So instead what we'll do is we'll use the user RP, or Robert Paulson. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like they didn't check into the DC or the server that we saw up there. So we've got 5 machines, which should be expected behavior. So we're going to run the same command as before. This time we're going to specify the -x. We're going to make sure that we include a quote here. We're going to paste that encoded PowerShell. We're going to close that quote. And if we're lucky, we should see those start to check in. Every machine that it's in the workstation group is actually a Server 2012 R2 machine. It is running active antivirus. Thankfully, the C2 is really good at bypassing that or not getting caught. And so now you can see that we have multiple shells of high integrity. And we can interact with those. We've started to see Covenant as part of a initial launcher in some of our ransomware engagements, where we've gone in an incident response situation, and we see Covenant as the first stage to actually load Cobalt Strike. And there's a reason why. If we look at some of the options within Covenant, we can see that we have Seatbelt, Sharp Dump, Rubius is built in, WMI, the option to make token and impersonate. You can bypass AMZ. We can dump wdigest, do a DC sync, run safety cats. Let's see if we can get any of these to actually work. I'll go ahead and say I'm going to wrap the video now, and if I'm lucky, then we'll see what actually happens. So we'll start with wdigest. We'll send that command. And so that should be dumping Mimikatz, but let's see. And it looks like it's failed, likely blocked by the AV. Let's try something simple like a who am I? And looks like we're Snap Labs and the user RP. So we're able to shovel that command all the way across the network. Let's try one last thing and see if we can run seatbelt and see if that gets blocked. Another great thing is this autocomplete. So we can do a seatbelt all or just seatbelt antivirus, ARP tables, Chrome history, etc. Let's go ahead and just try to run the entire thing. And it will take a minute for it to come back. That's the only downside to a C2. Most people want instantaneous reaction. What they don't realize is with a C2, you're actually tasking an agent, and as your beacons are logging in, they're coming into the server and saying, hey, what task do I have? And that's when you're getting that, here's the seatbelt command. All right, let's see if it ran. And looks like it had an error. I bet it's part of that AV. In a later video, I'll go into how we'd actually go about bypassing that AV or killing it. But thanks so much for watching.